Arthur Lewin, a king, finds himself in a dark tunnel with a faint light at the end. He never believed in the light at the end of the tunnel phenomenon often associated with near-death experiences. He feels a chill creeping down the sides of his face. Arthur realizes he is inside the tunnel. The last thing he remembers is being alone in his room, looking out at the city from above. Afterward, his body feels heavy and he's lying in bed. He wonders if he was poisoned or murdered. He realizes many people wanted him dead because he was a king. Although Arthur wants to know the cause of his death, he feels he can no longer do anything and has no choice but to accept it. He hopes he won't see any painful flashbacks in his next life. Arthur hears a voice congratulating him and his wife on the birth of their healthy baby boy. He realizes he has just been born. A woman is holding him, and a man is standing nearby. The woman mentions that the light Arthur saw at the end of the tunnel was the light entering through her. The man comments that the baby has the same hair as him. Arthur is confused. He doesn't understand their language, but takes it as a good sign. He sees the bright, gentle smile of the woman holding him and realizes how beautiful she is. The man has a strong jaw and sharp eyebrows. Arthur guesses this man is stern and critical. The man tries to speak to Arthur, calling him Ray, which likely means king or a short version of Reynolds. Since Arthur has just been born, he cannot speak yet. Arthur observes the place, which appears normal. He sees armor and clothing hanging. He's confused by what he sees. The woman shows the baby Arthur to him. Arthur wonders where he is. Time passes. Arthur's mother, Alice, is gentle and kind, but she is the one in charge of the family. His father, Reynolds, is dependable and charismatic, able to manage his wife's childishness. Arthur is grateful to be born into a loving family, but also feels despair at the helplessness of his new body, unable to do anything. Arthur's only solace is the mental fortitude he honed over the years as king and the faint hope that this is all a dream. He feels like he has been transported to the past, to a much earlier period. Arthur sees people around him carrying weapons. He sees bottles of suspicious liquids being sold legally and guesses they are medicines or potions. Alice asks if Arthur wants to go home. Arthur thinks to himself that knowledge is power, and he has been analyzing his surroundings for the past few weeks and believes he has an inkling of what's to come. Reynolds comes home and asks how his little Ray is doing. He throws Arthur into the air and catches him. Alice is worried Arthur will fall. Reynolds says he used to do this when Arthur was little. Arthur feels like he's being shaken. He bumps against the wall and cries. Alice heals Arthur's injury with healing magic. She says that this world seems different from what she expected. Arthur realizes that he may not know anything about this world. In his previous life, Arthur was a king. He led armies and defeated representatives from every country in the world in duels. He stands victorious, sword in hand, looking down at his fallen opponent. Of all his accomplishments, Arthur had never felt this proud. He smirks, satisfied. He successfully crawls and immediately starts toddling towards something that has caught his attention. His parents, Alice and Reynolds, follow him. Alice tells Reynolds to make sure Arthur's path is clear. Reynolds blocks a path where Arthur could bump into something. Arthur ends up bumping into something anyway. Arthur sees his reflection in a mirror. Alice and Reynolds are amused by his actions. Arthur feels strange in his new form. He is still not used to the name Art even after months. He admits to himself that he looks adorable. Arthur looks at his reflection with a mischievous expression and thinks, "Get ready, girls of the future. Prepare for heartbreak." He chuckles. Alice kisses Arthur's cheek and wishes him sweet dreams. Arthur wakes up energized. His mission starts. He throws off his blanket and climbs the furniture. Arthur falls onto the bed. He figures Alice thinks he's asleep, so he has a few hours before she checks on him. Alice calls for Arthur and he crawls towards her. He thinks the goal is in sight. Full speed ahead. Arthur spots a room with bookshelves. Arthur successfully sneaks into the room. Ever since he discovered this place, he's been sneaking in every night to learn more about this world. Dicathan, the continent where Arthur was born, is composed of 3 main kingdoms: Elenwar, the elven kingdom deep within the forests; Darv, the vast underground kingdom and home to the dwarves; and Sapin, the human kingdom, which has quickly become the most populated. Both this world and his previous one followed a kingdom system. However, rulership here is inherited, not earned like it was for him before. Arthur closes the book and thinks that this world is quite backward compared to his old one. But he reasons that's due to the lack of technology. Arthur finds a book titled Beginner's Guide for the Privileged Mage. He realizes that it's not technology that sets this world apart from his previous one, but magic. Arthur sees a diagram in the book. He thinks this is something he doesn't know. In Arthur's previous world, they had life force called Ki, which was used for body training and enhancing weapons. In this world, that power is called mana. Mana is not generated internally, but drawn from the surroundings. The ability to control mana is largely genetic, with roughly 1 in 100 children possessing it. Mana can be used in various ways. The 2 most common methods are augmentation and conjuration, or perhaps, more accurately translated, magic. Augmenters strengthen their bodies with mana, allowing them to possess extraordinary strength, defense, and agility. Their weakness is their limited range. Conjurers project mana outwards, allowing them to manipulate their surroundings to their will. However, they need to draw mana from the outside world to cast spells. Arthur's mother, Alice, is an emitter, a term for those who store more mana than the average conjurer. They are a rare type of conjurer capable of performing augmentations. According to the book, conjurers awaken between early to late adolescence, when their mana core manifests. The mana core is very similar to the Ki center from his previous life. To form a Ki center, children are taught to meditate and sense the fragments of Ki spread throughout their bodies and condense it into one place. Arthur gets curious and tries meditating. He succeeds in gathering mana. Alice finds Arthur meditating. She asks him what he's doing, thinking he's playing with dirt. Arthur tells her he is about to embark on his adventure to explore this new world, not play with dirt. Alice proceeds to change Arthur's diaper. Arthur realizes that when concentrating, he does indeed soil himself. Arthur's mother is writing in her diary in her room. She writes that time feels like it's flying by. 2 years have already passed. She feels like there are still many things she hasn't taught Arthur. Arthur's mother writes her conclusion that Arthur is a sweet baby with blonde hair and bright blue eyes that gaze intelligently. She knows Arthur will get into trouble in the future if she doesn't become a strict mother. She reminisces about Arthur as a baby, learning to crawl and then walk. Arthur's mother carries Arthur on her back while shopping. She notices that Arthur is fascinated by the small merchant stalls in the Ashford town center. She decides to change her shopping schedule from twice a week to every day. At the small merchant stalls, Arthur becomes interested in a staff held by one of the merchants. The merchant demonstrates his magic to Arthur. Arthur's mother sees this as a learning opportunity for Arthur. She writes that Arthur's growth is very rapid, and she wonders what he will become when he grows up. Arthur's mother thinks that with his father being an adventurer, Arthur will be interested in becoming one too. But she can't help but worrying. She just hopes Arthur isn't too naive and thinks that being an adventurer is easy. Arthur's mother ponders, what if she were to move some of Arthur's usual activities for learning? She thinks about moving Arthur's toys to the study, but not now. She then closes her diary. 2-year-old Arthur is looking out the window. Meanwhile, his father is practicing magic outside. The father says it has been 2 years since his first journey to learn. He has learned a lot and is drawn to learning new things every day. He also says Arthur has shown some talent and is now concentrating hard on him. The father demonstrates his magic by lifting some rocks and wonders what kind of magical phenomena Arthur will perform. He then throws the small rocks up into the air, and Arthur watches with curiosity.